Greetings. This is Skyler Saunders Singh. What's current? This is my own little version of Saturday Night Live. Since the writers aren't they have a summer session. They're like college. They come in with college kids and go out when they doing graduation season. But this is my own version of Saturday Night Live. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling good. Had a good day. No worries. Did some laundry. Got all that out of the way. But hey, we have to get down to some seriousness. First off the top, our goal for today is $80. Yes, $80. You don't have to forfeit all your cash on just $80. It's one, long block. You can chop it up, let some other people come in, give fives and tens, 20s. That's what I'm looking for. 5, 10s, and 20s. That's all I'm looking for. And we can chop down this goal, this target, and it'll be all good. If I don't reach the goal, it just stays at 80. I'd multiply. If I reach a goal, I just multiply it by 2. I just double it. But I haven't reached 80 yet, so I'm trying to get there. All right. So, what do we have tonight? What do we have on to discuss? Selfishness. Who can be selfish? That's the title of this half an hour, this set of time allotted. Who can be selfish in society? I just watched again, rewatched an excellent film. Excellent, in terms of film making is concerned. Ridley Scott's American Gangster, starring Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Woo! Excellent performances. Fiery, gritty, nasty, well made. Just blows your mind. It's excellent crime drama, but thematically, it's horrific. It's terrible. It shows Frank Lucas to be like a superhero, like he should be crowned, as a paragon of virtues, and that's just not the case. And why am I saying all this about selfishness? Because there are scenes like in New Jack City, which is weird because New Jack City came out before American Gangster, about 17 years prior, exactly, or almost about that, 15 to 17 years prior. But it had the ideas of what happened with Frank Lewis, with a fictional character of Nino Brown. So Nino Brown's character is like Frank Lucas, but Frank Lucas is a real person. This is an autobiographical, not an autobiographical, it's a biographical film. This is based on real events. And there's a real cop and lawyer. I think I'm trying to remember his name now. Rich. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me get his name. Because I'm gonna trample all over the place with it. Let me see. And I'm gonna say his first name is Richie. I just want to make sure it's the same. Richie Roberts, and he is still alive. Richie Roberts. He's an American attorney. He's still an attorney. He actually represented Frank Lucas. But I'm saying all of this to say this. I said all that to say this. There are scenes in both New Jack City and in American Gangster where they're handing out turkeys. That's a staple. That's a classic image. The drug dealer is handing out turkeys to the community, quote unquote. There is no real community. They're just neighborhoods. They're handing out people all these turkeys, and they're showing that, okay, I'm so selfless, I'm so unselfish that I'm giving back to my quote unquote community. Look at me. But everybody likes this. Everybody with their hands out. They're supposed to be selfless and unselfish and not thinking about anyone else. No, they're thinking about themselves. They want a turkey. They can be selfish. If you're needy, if you want something, if you're someone that is in need of something, you have the moral right and rectitude, according to our society right now, to be selfish. That's where we are. You have that right. There's a few other people that can be selfish. There's kings and queens, priests, preachers. They can purport to be selfless. They can give selfless notions, but it's all bullshit. It's not really being selfless. They're actually being selfish, but not in the rational sense. This is how deep and dirty this gets. You have to be rationally self-interested. That's what selfishness means, to be rationally self-interested. Not to be somebody that'll climb over corpses to get whatever the hell they want, to disparage people, to be nasty and mean and just take for whatever reason, whatever way they think they're going to do something. That's not being selfish. That's being abhorrent. That's being vicious. That's being evil. You have no consequences when it comes to that. You have no idea of when it comes to being selfish. Like, you can take children, babies. Babies especially can be selfish. They don't have a conception of what selfishness means. Not yet, newborns, of course. They can definitely be selfish. They don't have an idea. And it's not really selfishness. It's just the fact that they're individuated from their mother and has to rely on the sustenance of their parents, of the mother especially. That's a different kind of selfishness, because they have no conception of it. And then when you get a little bit older, get to about the age of 5, 6, 7. 7 is said to be the age of reason, when your mind is starting to develop even more than normal. Your mind usually is fully developed by the age of 25 or 26. That's by a scientific definition, by the psychological standards, you're fully developed in a healthy brain by the time you're 25 or 26. So, but it starts when you're about 5, 6, and 7. You're questioning things, you're asking about things, you're wondering about things. Even more when you're even 2. When you're 2 and you're asking, what is that? What is this? What is that? And then when you get to a part where you're 5 or 5, 6, or 7, you have the activity of your brain, and you're thinking. You're thinking for yourself. That's selfish. And you understand better what the world is. And you have to have the understanding of even before that, when you're 3 or 4. And you're in the sandbox. And this is the classic example. But the sandbox represents a boardroom as well. When you're 30 and 34, you add 30 years, 25, 30 years. And you're from the sandbox to the boardroom. It's the same, situation. Would you let your coworkers play with use your Mercedes Benz, or is that your business? Because this is about principle. You can say, "Oh well, it has to be insured, and it's my money, and I paid for the gas and the repairs and the maintenance and everything like that, and that's just a toy in the sandbox." Well, it's the same principle. It's about principles. That's what all of this comes down to. It are principles. It's the same idea of being what a selfish person really is. It's about the understanding of yourself, understanding of trading value for value in a society, not on a desert island. This isn't Tom Hanks' Castaway. This isn't, if people enjoyed when they were younger, Gary Paulson's Hatchet. This isn't everybody. It's in a sense, every man is an island, but you connect to other islands, and you create a society. You create a different kind of living situation than just living in the wilderness on your own, based on nothing but your own survival skills. That's not what this is about. This is about living in a society that is rational, that is selfish, that knows what it is about, what it wants to be. Those are the people who can be, and that's what the essence of this question is. Everybody can be selfish. You can be selfish. Not everybody is selfish, because we obviously don't have everyone who is selfish in this world. And people that claim to be selfless or unselfish, are actually more selfish in a sense that they're they're not being selfish, they're being irrational. Because I learned there's no such thing as an irrational selfishness. I thought for a second, I said, well, if there's a rational self-interest, there's got to be an irrational self-interest. No, it's just irrationality. There's no irrational self-interest. That's a fallacy. I had to learn that. There's a way for everyone to enjoy life on this planet with other people. It's a wonderful thing. These clothes, this MacBook, this YouTube stream, all of this. I didn't put that into motion. Other people did. But I traded. I had to buy all this stuff. I had to buy the shirt and tie and hat and the MacBook and the phone and everything from other people. Thousands, maybe millions of other people that had to be worked to find a way to do it. And that's the thing too. They traded. They didn't, in our age, especially in it's a very minor amount of people who are working at literally slave labor. They're actually getting wages. They're getting paid. They're working in the fields for 30 cents a day. Now they're getting $30 a day. If that might be too much. Maybe they're getting $3 a day and they're still happy with that because they're not getting 30 cents. We complain about minimum wage. Minimum wage $8. People are working for 80 cents, if that, and happy, joyful about having 80 cents. That's part of, I think, that's what I want to get into as well. Americans are supposed to be selfish, especially because of American exceptionalism. That's what makes us great. That's why we dump on people. I'm just going out there. I was going to ask this as a question, but I'm just going to put this out there. I think we should be able to, rationally bully people. I don't know how to say it. I don't know. It's like, I tell you, in when I come from my world, from the Marine Corps world, they bust you down and break you down to build you up. They don't do the opposite. They don't build you up to break you down. That comes afterwards. That's when you're retired. That was a joke. But the Marine Corps, it is mainly done by Congress. So I'm not going to pick on the Marine Corps. Marine Corps is too good for that. I mean, there are levels where the top brass have a hand in the ideas and the thoughts that go into what goes into the handbooks and the literature and all the different writings of the Marine Corps. When you're in recruit training or you're in OCS, that's Officer Candidate School, in the basic school, that's all done with. That's all, that's all finished. I'm talking about Congress. I'm talking about Congress making ideas of saying unselfishness, selflessness, all these different lies and bullshit because they're afraid of the irrational. They're afraid of people tensing up in battle and not being able to protect their fellow Marines or other personnel or anyone else and just go off and run away and then call that selfish. No, that's cowardice. The real test is understanding the facts of what selfishness means. What does selfishness mean? It means that you are protecting your values. It means that those are your values, other people. And it's funny because we all knew that in the Marine Corps. We were all selfish and we knew it. We had to just mealy mouth, okay, unselfishness, selflessness, and then people knew, even the people that wouldn't call themselves selfish, who wouldn't even call themselves that, would still act on those premises. They would act on those ideas of selfishness. And it's just been so misconstrued. The whole thing, it's just completely mixed up. I mean, it goes beyond the Marine Corps. It goes to the other armed forces and the other levels of government, all the way up to the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch. It goes to the police. It goes to the law courts. All the different functions of government that actually are proper. Everyone will say, everyone. There's not one person, there's not a presidential candidate that will say selfishness is good, that you're supposed to be selfish, that you're supposed to be rationally self-interested. They're never going to say that, or they won't for a long time. I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. I'm saying this is going to be a long slog. People still don't get it. They read Ayn Rand, slammed the book, and said no, impossible. Sadly, they said this can't happen. This can't work. Not in this day, not in this age, not in this era. And it may take until maybe I'm 106. And maybe they will change over everything and say, be rationally self-interested. Because it's a fear. It's a fear that people will be, grubby and nasty and just all for themselves without understanding that they're supposed to trade with other people in a rational, fully competent way of trading, of saying that there's a value for value, you're trading value for value, you're understanding the other person, but you're benefiting. That's the thing. It's like everybody benefits, including you. It's not like I completely just jumped into this. It took me a long time for me to figure it out too. Had to read The Virtue of Selfishness about 3 times to fully get an understanding of what it means to be a selfish person. And it doesn't mean to be a mean, ugly, greedy, greed is a good thing, but a mean, nasty, vicious, grubbing, kind of, way of being. That's not what selfishness means. Selfishness means that you're happy, first of all, that you know who you are, that you can meet and greet others with friendship and with a relationship of understanding, even strangers, that you can trade value for value, whether it's monetary or spiritual or whatever. Well, monetary is technically spiritual because it had to come from your brain, your mind, to create the money and to create the wealth. So that's what selfishness means. That's all it is. And it just struck me when I'm watching the movie, like they're hanging out turkeys, and all you see is all these hands up. Everybody's got their hands up, but you're supposed to be selfless. You're supposed to be unselfish, no matter what. You're supposed to have the hands up and then pass it to the next person, and hand up, pass it to the next person. And then you don't get any. That's selflessness. That's unselfishness. And then it's just like later on in the film, the character, I don't know if this is based on real life or not, but he's Denzel Washington's character, the real life Frank Lucas. I don't know if he said this in real life, but he said, I take care of Harlem and Harlem takes care of me. So he's being unselfish to be selfish. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, it doesn't have any ring to it. It doesn't have any truism to it. It doesn't have anything backing it. There's nothing there, as the great Dr. Yaron Brooks says. So those are the things we have to look for. Those are things we have to identify and control. We have to get a hold on whatever they are. We have to understand them. We have to get a grasp of what the values of what selfishness actually means. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm trying to, understand myself. Every day I have to challenge myself. Is this selfish? Is this going to benefit me? Is this going to be a great thing? And it's not like I have to sit down and write in a pad. I have to write down, well, this is a selfish thing. It's all calculated by my brain. by my mind. I enter a relationship with someone. I evaluate their virtues and their values, and this is all lightning like that. Sometimes I'm wrong. I get it wrong. I get people completely wrong, and so most of the time I'm right though. Most of the time I'm actually able to distinguish people based on their behavior and actions and what they can trade with me. If they're a good person, if they're a person of some stature, morally and virtuously, then I can trade with them. I can do something with them and for them. Otherwise, it's a bust. And I don't enter any contracts, be they explicit or implicit, with anyone that is not going to be rational on a sense or selfish. Because we use that word, and we've used it like it's a dirty word, and it's not. That's what's so great about Ayn Rand. She picked it up and said, wait a minute, dusted it off, said, wait a second, this is a great thing. It's not just a word, it's a whole idea around it. It's a whole conception of what selfishness means. What does it mean for the individual? That's another thing, individualism. The egoist, the egoism, not the egotist. The T is the wrong part. That's the evil, grubby, miserly, don't want to trade with anybody, but has to trade only just out of spite or just out of necessity. That's the egotist. The egoist is like the person in her great novel, which is today's date, Atlas Shrugged. This is Atlas Shrugged Day, September 2nd. And she puts in her, right, I'm not going to give away the characters' names. I'm just going to say, their situations. They have politicians and people that are, egging on and trying to build up the main, the other character, the good character, the great character, his ego, but they're being egotistical instead of egoistical. They're offering billions of dollars at one point, and he simply says, "Get the hell out of my way," okay? He didn't put the okay at the end, but he just said, "Get the hell out of my way," because he knows that he doesn't need $1 billion. In which, when Ayn Rand wrote the book Atlas Shrugged, way back in the 40s and 50s, $1 billion today is $1 billion. That's a whole lot of money. But it was a lot of money in that time. So you have to put that into context. So I'm just giving you an example of, how there's an egoist and there's an egotist, and there's an egotist and an egoist. It's not just the semantics, it's not just the letter, but I'm just giving you a flavor of what the difference is, what it is to be a selfish person, what it is to be an egotist, what it is to be an individualist. Because we have faiths, especially. We have economic systems, especially, that would say it's all about the group, it's all about the community, it's all about the collective. You are just a cog in the wheel. It doesn't matter who you are. You're less than, and you have to contribute to other people's lives and make their lives better, and with no benefit to you. That is what they say. That's what they promulgate. That's what they build up on. That's their whole idea. That's their whole system. They say that, and we know it's not true. We know it's bullshit. But we continue to say, yes, yes, Jesus died on the cross for us. Yup, he died for our sins. And that, another example, that's another hands up with the turkey. The turkey was Jesus' life. And you want his life. You want his death. You want his resurrection. We're not even going to get into the fact that there's no resurrection. But you have the hands up. He's supposed to be selfless and unselfish. But in the Bible, it says, I'm the truth, the way, and the life. No one can go before God before they go before me. Sounds a little selfish. Just a little selfish. That's kind of selfish sounding. He was considering his own self, to be above everybody else. But you who have to be saved by me, I have to do it. I have to go through this terrible, horrible, vicious, nasty death. And then, through faith, you have to believe that I resurrected from that grave when they put me in and the stone rolled away, and I came out, and no visible body was there. That's what I'm talking about. That's the idea of, especially in America, and especially in the African American community, especially in so many other communities across the world. But I'm just talking about America especially. It would seem to me that we would be beyond this by now, but we still are mired in it. I'm going to go to church tomorrow morning, and I'm going to look at all the different people in the crowd and see that, and know that they know that I know that they know that I know that it's all bullshit. It is. The ideas. I'm not going to say the faith is bullshit. I could, but I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say the ideas and their belief system, their system of beliefs. The fact that they have taken upon themselves to inculcate and calcify in their brains the ideas that these things can be true when they're not. They're not true. And they know it. So they get back in their cars and they run through red lights and give people the single finger salute and just do all kinds of nastiness, and then come to the church on Sunday at the feet of the Father and pray to God that their sins be cleansed. It's all a dog and pony show. It's a pageantry. It's all for show. They don't know or want to recognize that they know that they have no real hold on virtue. And I'm not going to dog them. I can't dog them, especially because myself, being selfish. And some people seriously take it that serious. Some people actually take it to the point where they don't realize the harm that they're actually doing. Or they want to, get to a point of truth, and they keep gunning at it like it's like starting a car. Like, they're trying to start the car. They're pressing on the gas. They're pressing on the accelerator. And they're just trying to hold on to some belief system that is completely false, that is completely, not advantageous to their mental health. I'll say that. Faith is not advantageous to mental health. It is not beneficial and is detrimental to mental health. That is a fact. I can say that. It's bad for you psychologically, as Ayn Rand said. She said it's not a good thing to put your faith in something that doesn't exist, and to have faith. Actually, you should have reason. You should use reason. The faculty that allows you to think. That's basically what it is. The thing that allows you to think. I mean, it's a long definition that I'm not going to get into here. I could get into it, but I'm not going to get into it. It's just your capacity to think. That's what reason is. That's what reason is. And if we have the people with their hands up for the turkeys, or Jesus coming off the cross, or something like that, we're always going to be stuck on stupid. But then, I'm not saying the faith is stupid. I'm just saying we're going to be stuck on the idea of us doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. We're going to be insane. Completely insane. So that's what I had to say about selfishness. I hope you enjoyed a half an hour of me ripping into unselfishness and selflessness. And I'm still looking for my $80 goal. Nobody's chipped in. I see one person in the viewer field. If you're in that live chat, put a 1 up. Whoever you are, okay? Now you're going away. Now I'm at 0 again. My rebroadcast numbers come up, so it's all good. It's all gravy. But now, get into everybody's favorite part. Ruler of the kingdom of the air. I have to get into it. Let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about the first person of all. First person, top person, the drive shaft of the story. Green Stockwell, father, businessman, husband, person that works with his mind, thrown into a situation he didn't have no idea about. Gambina, wonderful worker, beautiful woman, wife, mother. She has everything, about strength and honor and everything about her, and still is very, able to, talk back in a rational tone. But even through her tears, is very strong in her deportment. Ruler, the baby. We don't know too much about him yet. Only his birth details, where he was born, what year he was born, the month and day and year. What all that might amount to. What will it mean? We know that it was in the year of the dragon, according to the Chinese. We know that the dragon is always represented in Christianity as the devil or Satan or Lucifer or the morning star. So many other names. Beelzebub. So you have Malik. Malik in Hebrew is king. So he's pretty wise. Even though Green Stockwell doesn't like his words, he still acknowledges them. He still has to bring them into his mind and think about them. So he's definitely a character to watch, character to listen to. Somebody that has some kind of understanding of what is going on in the situation that he found himself in right now. There's the grandmother, Serena Stockwell. She is a God-fearing mother. Unlike her daughter, her son and daughter-in-law, yes, they're both atheists, but she's a God-fearing grandmother. Now, she has a sense of what is right and wrong. She may not have had extensive education like Green Stockwell and Gambina, but nonetheless, she's a very smart woman, very smart working woman. And it just goes on from there. And then you have, of course, the professor, the doctor. let me try to make sure I get his name right. Let me just give me a moment. Read some stories or something like that. Let me see if I can get his name right. Let's see. Get his name exactly how it should be. If I can just find it for a moment. Just give me one moment. Professor Snide, Dr. Snide, Professor Dr. Snide. That's his name. Dr. Houston Snide. Yes, he's very he's still in his, the clock is still ticking, the heart's still pumping, but he's got angina, and he, has to take pills, and you'll see in the scene when you read it why he takes the certain nitroglycerin pills, because he finds out something that, alters, his whole vision of what ruler is actually supposed to be. So that's going to be part of his life. So I think, when it comes to everybody that has to do with this, book, and just the characters themselves, I think they all, bounce off each other. They amount to each other. They have a distinction amongst each other. They thrive. I think they all do. They all work, no matter how they are. And this is just the first chapter. Like I said, if whatever happens with this challenge, and whoever gets the prize, actually the top prize, because I'm only going for the first prize. I may even rescind the second and third place if I, or the runner up, if I get called up for a runner up or the second and third place. I want the top prize, because I think this is quality effort. I think this is quality work. Unless I'm like Pusha T and somebody like Kendrick Lamar comes in with Big Stepper, it'll just throw me off. It'll just really throw me off. But I got something up my sleeve anyway that'll get me financially in intact with Vocal Media. So I'm not worried about it much either, because I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to get more active in my way. So, back to these characters, though. These characters are, I tried to be richly drawn, have the characters richly drawn in a sense, and have them, give them some kind of oomph, some kind of, a drive and a motivation. Obviously the adults only have adults that are talking and speaking and moving, and little baby ruler is, he hasn't gotten to that point, obviously, to where he can speak or move or do anything like that. He just pretty much sleeps and yawns and looks at his mom all day. So when you have these characters in these situations, you have to have them in a confined settings. I try to find confined settings. They're in a room together. There's just two of them. There's just two of them again. I'm trying to maybe expand to getting 2 or 3, 4 or 5, in the room, beyond just the party that exists in the beginning. And really, latch on to the idea that there's going to be something that's going to be more than just having, just two people go back and forth, which I like. I like that in TV and movies and books. You just have a dialogue. You just have two people talking about things, hashing it out. And you'll see that with Stockwell and Gambina. Gambina really, she takes news that she's like, wait, what are you talking about? Well, this makes no sense. This is not flying with me. And like I said, she tears up a little bit, but she doesn't, back down. She doesn't, take her sadness and her tears and just wallow in them. She tries to be as strong as she possibly can. And that's what I try to do for Stockwell. Man of color, black man that is educated, that's strong, that will, be forceful when if it need be, just have some kind of a substance to him. That's what I want to show. That it's very few and far between in Hollywood and literature and anything, and stories, Broadway, a heterosexual man of color with strong moral backing. Now that's cool for all, homosexual. If you want to have a black man with strong moral backing, fine. I'm not going to stop you. I will probably pay a ticket and to watch it, something like that. But I wanted to create something of, something that would reflect some of my own values, but be distinct from my personal life with Stockwell. Maybe you'll find out a little bit more about how Ruler is close to my speed. But when it comes to Stockwell, he's somebody that's on his own. He researches, he finds things, he goes to people, he's in search of. It's all about that quest. Like I said before, this story is about searching and about identity and about a quest. It's about finding. It's about self. It's about selfishness. Again, Stockwell is selfish. All my, characters that are virtuous are selfish because they are about themselves, yet they're able to trade with others and they benefit themselves and the other person benefits too. That's the whole point. I'm not going to go into it again, but I'm just going to show you how, this story shows that and how people benefit from it. That's the key to all this. That's the whole idea behind all this thinking, all this way of viewing people in Delaware. Who knows what people in Delaware think? Who puts that in a book? How many times have you picked up a book? New York, New York, New York, New York, LA, LA, LA. And then, like I said, there's points in between. There's Montana, there's Colorado, there's Maine. Stephen King's got the keys to Maine. He's got it on lock. Down to Florida, Texas, all over the country, and of course the world, which I'm expecting to do if I go further in this writing. But I just think that we should be able to function on a higher level of thinking about what people in Delaware think and do. According to the 2020 census, now, granted, this story was placed in 1988, which was probably where. All right, I can even look it up. I'll look it up right now. I didn't look it up before, but I'll do it right now. Delaware census, 1988. Okay, all right. They're showing some people, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go through it. I'll just say that it was probably around 500,000, 600,000, somewhere around that era. And now we have over 1 million, probably because of the popularity of our president not being from Delaware, but representing Delaware for over 30, 40 years, something like that. And then he was vice president. Of course, he's president now. So I think with everything and everyone, considering themselves in this story, for good. I'm not saying for ill, for good. I think that it's a great way of delving into a story that nobody really expects. Nobody, looking for this, or very few people. A man of color, Stockwell, educated, has a great position as a senior vice president at a credit card company. And this is before credit card companies really blew up. It wasn't until the late 1990s that credit card companies became larger. And we'll see that if I go further in the writing. But as of right now, he's a senior vice president of Della Credit. That's a fictional credit card company. And what that will become of Delaware. Delaware is known for a few things. Delaware is a credit card company of the world. Delaware is the chemical capital of the world. And Delaware is the corporate capital of the world. Over 50% of Fortune 500 companies are located in Delaware, or not located, not their headquarters, but they're incorporated in Delaware. So that just gives you a flavor, for the idealism of Delaware. I've said this before. I'll say it again. We're boring. We're corny. We're whack. We're supposed to be. That's the same thing as people getting money. It's boring, it's whack, it's corny, but you love to get money. You should love working. You should love no matter what you do. I don't care if you are making popcorn. I seen a video of a kid. He was serious about his. He worked for probably $9 an hour, but he was making popcorn. He was twisting it up. He put it in the popcorn. Then he put the butter on top. Then he shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Then he put more popcorn on top. Then he put some butter on. And he shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. And he handed it out to the customer. Like that sense of customer service and that sense of, of competence, even at a lower level of dealing with people. He could have just said, pour the butter, switch it around, shake it. Here, there goes your popcorn. He could have done that. No, he took it to the next level. I've taken it to the next level. I'm being selfish. But seriously, I mean, you have to have some way, even if you're at the lowest rung. I was doing, $8 an hour and less money than $8 an hour because it's really taken from your bank account when you have payroll taxes, you have federal and state and city taxes, you have Social Security and Medicare, so it's really like $6 an hour, $5.50 an hour. But nobody wants to talk. We don't talk about that. That's quiet. And people want raises on the minimum wage. It's the irony. That's the sick, twisted irony we have. We want a raise on the minimum wage when, in fact, that's the worst thing that can possibly happen. It should be an erasure of the minimum wage. It should be an elimination of the minimum wage because it drives people down. That's the reason why there's a minimum wage. A minimum wage is what should be eliminated. It makes productivity and productiveness lesser. It brings it down. It's an awful way of doing business when you have minimum wage because you're pricing people out of the market. A minimum wage is a price on labor. And when you have a price on labor that's by the government and not by a private entity completely. I know other entities can raise their minimum wages. There are probably people that have $20, $30 an hour. But that's still not the full ticket. They get $16 or $15 an hour and $25 and $24 an hour because of taxes. But that's all we need to do. We need to get rid of the minimum wage because it's a vicious and ugly look. But I digress. Ruler of the kingdom of the air. If there ever was a chance for you to do it, look and listen to Ralph Anthony Garcia on the United Ronin Networks. Turn. I have to make sure I get it right. And you will hear him dramatize my story, and it is excellent. He uses, different voices. He uses inflection, and it's very well produced and very professional. So I'm very happy with that. I'm glad about it. And I'll do another ad right back. Make sure you subscribe to Spirit Smooth Tunes and on YouTube. He has jazz, Quiet Storm. He has R&B. You have to have all these different elements when it comes to his channel. And make sure you subscribe also to Ralph Anthony Garcia, his Ronin Networks. Make sure you subscribe to that as well. All right, back to the characters. The characters are, they're what give the story faces and bodies. That's exactly what, like just in life. I mean, of course, there's avant-garde and, modernistic and postmodern novels, I'm sure, that just have wallpaper, that doesn't even talk. It just is described in, gorgeous details, quote unquote. And it just shows how paint dries and That's about it. That's the only character that happens in the book, and it's lauded and applauded. This is genius. This is a great. This is a work of greatness. Oh my goodness! I can't believe this was such a great title. This is great literature. But I didn't want that. I want to make sure I had characters with a backbone. We have yet to see any, true evil spirits. The closest may become, might think is Malik, but Malik has, the inclination of what it means to be, a king. Even though I don't, he's an earned king. It took me a while. I think I said this before. I said this in another earlier cast. The kings and queens that we named, the late great Elvis Presley, King of Rock, the late great Queen of Rock and Roll, Tina Turner, the King of Rap, Eminem, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, and so on and so on forth. The chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra, all these different monikers and honorifics, they had to be earned. You have to earn these ones in America. All the kings and queens that we had, and music and television especially, music especially, they had to earn their spot. They had to earn that title. Other kings and queens around the country, other countries, it's just through bloodline. It's just through appointment. It's just through, oh, this person died, now you're king. This person, went to a different country or decided to not be king or queen, and now you're king and queen. That's different from what my characters are. When you have people like the professor, he has years of knowledge and experience and wisdom that he's able to suggest to Stockwell. He gives him different ideas for how to handle whatever needs to be handled. He gives him different ideas on how to show what it is like to be a father figure. That's possibly one of the greatest parts about what I've put down on digital paper, I guess you can say. I didn't put it down on paper. I don't use paper. I don't do longhand. I just go right to the computer. Bang, bang, bang. So when you have, even Gambina has short bursts, but they're profound. She has quite pointed views on what she wants. She's an editor at Lambden, a fictional book publisher in Wilmington, Delaware. And they both live in Wilmington, Delaware, but she had the baby in Dover, Delaware, on the Air Force Base. So it took all the different elements to try to bring together all these characters. It took a difference in making them who they are and what they are, and how to present that to the world, how to present that to a different audience, and what it means to be a true person, a person of wealth of ideas and of substance. That's the essence of these characters. Serena has very few lines, but they're pointed. They mean something. They have an idea behind them. She's not just saying things just to say them, just to sound cute or whatever. Same thing with Gambina. They're both very strong women, even though Gambina's atheist and Serena's a faithful, a theist. They share that link, and she has serious concern for her son Stockwell and what he does with the information he is given. So he goes on to the professor, and then they figure out what was the cause and what was the reason for Malik to say something that was so absurd and almost hurtful and almost, grounds to get into a fisticuffs with. You know, that's what happened. That was the goal. That's what took them to a point where they knew where they were going. And that is what is so important when it comes to being a great character and having character. It's one of the 4 things Ayn Rand outlined. There's plot, theme, style, and character and style. The greatest of these is plot, I think she said. So I think I had a great job with that. But I want to definitely delineate the ideas behind the characters that make up the story. And I know I probably haven't gotten too many views or reads. I always say views because it's basically the same thing. You view the page, it's the same thing, but they call it reads. I haven't gotten that many on it, but I think the tide is going to turn for September. I'm going to do a lot more. I thought investigation into what it means to be, part of the GAN or the Great American Novel, or just starting the first chapter of what it means. And that's what I plan on doing from now on. That's what I plan on having ready and able to convey to everybody that wants to understand what these characters mean and see if they can relate to them. And if they can't relate to them, they can at least see what they are as a projection of what could be or should be. Because that's the point of a hero. What could be or should be. That's romanticism. What could be or should be. It makes life just a little bit more interesting. That's romantic realism. That's what that's what I attempt to write. I may not achieve that feat. Excuse me. One of those vowels. But I do appreciate any and all people that come and watch this broadcast and get the ideas for Ruler of the Kingdom of the Air. If you just type that in to vocal.media, you will read that story and get a charge, get a sense of what is to happen. That's what's so important. That's what's so true. That's what makes things possible. When you have an idea, when you have something that is to work on. And if I could tie back the selfishness with the characters, everybody is to a degree, like I said, selfish. Stockwell is completely selfish. He's completely selfish. He's an egoist. He's a man of the mind. As a businessman, he has to think. He has to use his wits in order to create new strategies, for his companies. Even though he doesn't own the company outright, he is one of the better performers at that particular firm. And Gambina as well. Gambina is a great worker because she thinks, she uses her wits, and it's just in a different trajectory, different way that it goes. And that's what is so important about all of my characters, is that they use one thing, their mind. They think. Even little baby, Ruler. So look out for Ruler of the Kingdom of the Air. Continue to fight for that. And I will see you. I didn't get the goal. I didn't get as many viewers. I think I got 2 viewers this whole time. But I could change it to rebroadcast. I appreciate everybody that did tune in for whatever moments you were here. And I will see you probably tomorrow or at least on Monday. Thank you very much. Take care.